Hello, welcome to Dead Air Live.
I'm Jean.
And I'm Sal.
And this is Al.
And this is some of our producers group, weekly show or bi-weekly show.
A bi-weekly show, yep.
And tonight we'll be entering my kitchen to see what I've been making the past few days. Some pizzas. And
we're going to watch Sal's
kitchen. We're gonna watch me make some food. So if we could roll the tape and start this.
We're going to talk to you about his pizza making.
So this is a sort of a ceiling fan point of view of my kitchen table, my apartment, and just here getting out the pizza dough.
SCATV?
Yeah. Getting all my stuff together to prep everything. First thing was let's see, I'd probably just turn the camera on there, but let's see, what am I getting now?
We got some bloopers we're going to show in a show in February too, Sal told me.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's some pretty amusing stuff about trying to get a can open in this that I had to cut out, unfortunately. It was funny, but not quite funny enough. So anyway, first thing I do is this just store-bought pizza dough. I bought it at Market Basket. And it's bread dough really, but you can use it for pizza dough.
Yeah, I've used it. It's good.
Yeah.
I like it. It makes a good pizza.
Yeah, it's not bad. So I just I've been sitting in the refrigerator now for a little while. It rose a little bit even in that temperature, but I wanted to get warm and rise and ready for the oven. So take it out of the bag and.
So you're a let your pizza dough rise person.
Yeah, I let it rise. Yeah, I don't.
Some people don't. Some people do.
Yeah, I tend to. And more it's about timing. You only have a certain time of day. It's a good time to go to Market Basket, and that's usually between 8:20 and 9 before they close. And
which is the best time to go to Market Basket anyway.
It's really the best time to go there, but you really need to know exactly what you want. So you get the pizza dough going, get some flour on it, and kind of knead it a little bit. I do this with both doughs, and then.
And if you keep the pizza dough a little too long, it gets a little more sourdoughy.
Right, and it gets that weird crust on it, and that's just no good. So
that's no good. But I like it when it has that little sourdough taste to it.
That's not. That's I never made sourdough bread, but.
But this, if you leave this bread cooking in your refrigerator a little too long.
Yeah. It had only been there maybe 8 hours, so it was probably okay.
Oh, that's fine.
But here all I was really doing is just getting it ready before I start making the pizza sauce, which is a whole.
That's
really what it comes down to. Yeah, it's the sauce and the toppings. The dough is just a medium,
There you go. So that's why you just do the store-bought dough.
Yeah, I just do the store-bought dough. I've made dough before, but it's very messy.
It's very messy.
It's very messy, and
although I
kitchen's just kind of cold.
Pizza dough, I think making the sauce is pretty messy.
Yeah, it is. It can be, but it's not as dusty messy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got like flour all over the place, and and the kitchen's just it's just really too cold for really dough to rise properly, unless you're like preheating the oven the entire time, which I wasn't gonna do.
Right.
So so I get my doughs together and I put those aside. But usually my prep work involves cutting all my components. Everything I'm going to put in the sauce gets ready and goes into little tiny bowls, so that I can figure it out as I go along. Because I don't go from a recipe or anything. I just kind of.
You take what you have.
Yeah, I take what I have, and it's good making a pizza because you get to sort of raid your fridge for whatever's left over from something else and say, okay, I'll throw this on and throw that on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I like the orange peppers. They have
pretty.
They have good color to them too.
Are you putting them in your sauce?
Yeah, this is all we're watching right now is prep for the sauce itself.
Okay.
Which actually, when I think about it, is probably about 80% of the tape. But
it's all about the sauce.
It's really all about the sauce, and so I quarter it, get all that white stuff out.
Now, do you use the same sauce for spaghetti, or is this a pizza sauce? Do you like distinguish them?
It's a little different in that the pizza sauce is a little bit less complex than something that would go in a pasta, because the pizza's going to have all these other toppings, so you don't really want to. It's going to go well with things, but not overwhelm anything. Okay. Whereas like a pasta sauce, I'd put more stuff in it, or it would be less homogeneous. Like the pizza sauce is much more finely chopped, where I'd use chunkier.
For spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti sauce, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But, Chef Sal Mancini, I like the way that sounds.
There you go. Wow.
But
He does his knuckles and everything.
Yeah, I had to learn how to do this the hard way. I don't do it very fast, but when you cut like this, you're supposed to ride the edge of your fingers so that you don't push your fingertips into the knife, which is sort of like a natural urge. You want to keep feeding the knife.
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, if you carefully examine my fingertips, I've learned the hard way that that's not really the right way to cut. And I had someone show me.
I haven't really learned that. I mean, I do somewhere in the middle between the two, but I haven't really learned.
I can't say I've never made the mistake recently. Like, not this week, but, you know.
But I haven't really learned the chopping technique.
But I love that knife.
Nice knife.
Yeah, it's from Chinatown. I got that knife. It was that kitchen supply place right on
Washington Street.
Yes.
Eastern Bakers Supply.
Something like that. Yeah, I forget what it's called.
I was just on their website the other day. I just got a new stove.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm excited.
New appliances is fun.
Yeah. Well, my old oven died.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it was just
necessary.
like necessary.
Yeah, so just using this is I think it's a Vidalia onion. But, this is the sort of the first layer of the sauce, which is all these vegetables, the onion, the pepper, probably some garlic I'm going to chop soon, and you know, get sautéed in extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
It's a little excessive to use that in a sauce, but you know, whatever.
You're not using that much of it.
I'm not using that much of it, yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of your base, is you saute that stuff. You can go crazy and like caramelize it, but because it's a pizza sauce, I wouldn't do that because I want the little bits of those little bits of onion and stuff in the sauce.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a personal preference.
So caramelizing would totally break up.
Totally break them up, like to the point where they're totally clear and like gooey, you know.
Okay.
Instead of any kind of all the cell structure's totally gone.
Right.
But I really just sort of saute them a little bit, make them clear, and let's see what I add here.
Okay, so who taught you your pizza?
You know, it's funny because I sort of learned from a few different sources. Like, you know, my parents, both my father and mother, and everyone, you know, pizza is something that we would cook every now and then.
Okay.
And my father used to run a bakery. So he knows a lot about dough. But the interesting thing is I didn't really learn it from him. I sort of went back and sought his advice. But I worked in a restaurant in Harvard Square for a while, and it was a sandwich place, but they used to make these like prefab pizzas. Where and I do something similar here, where basically what they do is they have a 12-inch pan, and they sort of par cook them. You know, you make a big batch, make like 35, 36 doughs out of it, and then whenever someone would order something, instead of kneading the dough right there, because they were a sandwich place, they take a dough out of the refrigerator and put some on and cook it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you could cook them real fast. And they were really good. There was like a whole wheat pizza dough kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I really learned how to do it, how to like work with the dough and stuff, because for some reason, something about my schedule and when I came to work, it was like, you know, I was always the one making the pizza dough.
The pizza dough.
You know, sometimes a couple times a day.
And then everybody else sort of managed to just not be doing it.
Yeah, somehow. No one else wanted to do it. You know,
that's one of those things about like that kind of place that like somebody learns it. That's like Rich doing lighting here, you know.
Yeah,
somebody learns how to do it.
Exactly.
Like nobody else happens to do it.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I remember a friend of mine who I used to work with there thought I didn't speak any English because I sort of come in around noon, my hair all messed up and like, you know, hungover or whatever, and you know, I'd be like, oh, Sal, make the pizza dough, and I'd sort of not talk to anybody and make the pizza dough for a couple hours, and you know, and he was out front working, and he was like, oh, that's that Italian guy. He comes in and makes the pizza dough. You know? I think the first time he heard me talk, he's like, oh, he speaks English. How about that? He doesn't just grunt.
Is that the, like, if you can cook, you can't possibly speak English sort of?
You know, I don't know where it came from, but there were a lot, well, you know what it was? There were really a lot of people whose English was not their first language in that particular kitchen, you know.
Right, I mean, that's true in a lot of kitchens.
It really was true, you know, guys from India, from Morocco, from Lebanon, like all over the place, you know, and I was probably, it was a good guess that I didn't speak any English, actually. Yeah. But you gotta have the green pepper, even though it's really not my favorite, but you need a little bit of it, you know?
the acidic part.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, it's got a tangier. It depends on how much sauce you're making.
Yeah.
But like I never use it by itself.
Okay.
But like I think it's good
I don't
with.
use green pepper much anymore. I'm a big red pepper. I buy big bags.
I like red pepper and I like yellow and orange, but green's okay. I've come to like it more. I went through a period of despising it, but I like it again now. So this is all still prepped for the sauce. You see, I've got my garlic minced down there.
Right, you've got your garlic and your onion and your yellow pepper.
Yeah,
now your green pepper. Oh, and are those mushrooms I see in that blue box?
Yeah, mushrooms. A few mushrooms will go in. Those don't get sautéed; they get added to the tomato.
So that's like a quarter of a pepper.
Yeah, about a quarter of a pepper.
And you use what, half a yellow pepper?
About that, yeah.
Okay. It was a whole Vidalia onion, and that was what, three garlics or 4 garlics? Or
3 or 4.
Take your pick.
Yeah, something like that. Just to grab a bunch, put them in. And I was told never to wash the mushrooms, but I usually do just because of those little bits. I know that, but it's like I wash them real fast. It's not like I soak them in water or something. They don't get blanched. But it's fun cooking in this kitchen actually because everything's in sort of a triangular shape away from the middle of the table. It's like from this point of view to my left to our left rather, is the sink, and then to the right is the refrigerator, and directly behind me is the stove.
So it's a little kitchen.
It's not little, but it's actually I moved the table out for this shoot, but you can kind of bounce around and really get it's a pretty well laid out kitchen for not a modern kitchen.
Okay.
Those has got to be fairly thin, or it doesn't really. I like them thin anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you throw the bottoms away. You're not.
Yeah, I get rid of the bottoms.
Okay. Okay, thin, but you're not chopping them tiny. Okay.
No. They're like about maybe nickel sized when it comes down to it. Here we go. Okay, so I'm getting ready for the sauce to begin here.
So did you get to make the pizza sauce at this restaurant, or did you just?
No, I didn't get to make the pizza sauce. I was just the pizza dough guy. There are other things I made there. I made gallons of hummus and tabbouleh and things like that.
Yeah.
And what do you call that? Those mixers, the industrial size ones.
Oh. Yeah, the industrial size.
Yeah, they're just enormous. Just.
They're like refrigerators.
Yeah, basically, like you could climb in one and knead the dough, and there was a dough kneader in there, and there was a big mixer, and I love it.
Hobart's.
That's the one. Yes, it was a
Hobart.
It was a Hobart mixer, exactly. But I remember trying to scale down a recipe for pizza dough, when I was using the wrong kind of yeast or something, and I think I must have used 10 times the amount of yeast I was supposed to. Because I didn't want to make 36 doughs. I wanted to make 2.
Right.
So I tried to, but it was a different kind of yeast I was using, so it didn't work out right. The whole kitchen smelled like yeast, and the pizza tasted like yeast. It really just had to be disposed of right away. I know.
Scaling is hard.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work all the time. Not if you change one variable like the yeast, for example.
My sister-in-law's father had the pizza restaurant in town.
Oh yeah.
It's probably not why my brother dated her in high school. But it was a good.
It was a good benefit to dating her.
But he did, and I still don't have the recipe for his pizza, but he actually upgraded to a real restaurant and then sold the shop and moved down to North Carolina. And then he actually opened up. He was so hyper about not working enough that he went to the local golf course and he opened a little pizza cart. And they actually had to then invite him to be in the restaurant because they lost so much business in the French restaurant and the golf course that they had to serve pizza in the restaurant. And one day this couple was eating in there and she goes, "This is Frank's Pizza."
Oh, there we go.
And she
That's the
recognized,
shot of-
oh, there we go.
I must have skipped a step. That was after I've sautéed the vegetables, added the sausages.
We can see all those vegetables in there.
Yep, and
so
and
you're-
wine, little wine in there.
What kind of wine?
Some random red wine that my roommate hadn't finished, basically.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't remember exactly.
So you're
what it was.
cooking the sausage in
Yeah,
the pizza
just
sauce.
well, it just you have to boil the wine so that you boil the alcohol off, from what I understand.
Right.
And that, I guess, the alcohol temperature, the alcohol boiling point is less than what the water is. So if the water liquid in the water is boiling, the alcohol's already burned off.
Yeah.
Pretty much sure of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So you boil off the alcohol. You know, it's better. I mean, it makes more sense with something like steak tips or something. You know, some sort of red meat without a skin on it.
Okay.
But I didn't have any, so I used the sausages, and those sautéed for a little while, and then after that I add the actual ground peeled tomatoes, which is just from a can.
Okay. So the sausages, you're just boiling the sausages in there.
Well,
and then you're gonna take them out of the sauce, or you're leaving them
for
in
the
the
amount of
sauce?
time I cooked the sauce in, I just left them in the whole time.
Okay.
They don't actually come out; they stay in the sauce.
Okay. But are you then taking the skin off them?
After I take them, I actually don't end up. They're just sort of flavoring for the sauce.
Oh, okay.
Like I can eat them, you know,
yeah.
but they don't actually end up on the pizza. I did cook some sausage for the pizza later, but I'll show you that.
Oh, but that's different. Okay,
That's
so
a different kind of sausage,
you're
yeah.
boiling the sausage to flavor the sauce.
To flavor the sauce, yeah, exactly. So the sauce is flavored with some vegetables, with sausage, both sweet and hot Italian sausage.
Okay.
Some wine, salt and pepper, basil. That's basically it.
Okay.
It's just very simple. So I don't want to overwhelm anything
Okay,
else.
do we get to see the tomatoes coming in here?
I think so. I think I have a shot of that.
Okay.
But here we go. This is
Here we
my
go.
adventures in opening this can.
This is the-
But the biggest can of tomato sauce. I don't know what possessed me to buy something that big, since I probably needed about 1/10 of that amount of sauce.
Because
but
there's not much sauce on the pizza.
no, there really isn't. And it's not like I was making a lasagna or something. And
Now,
that's just what it made sense. But
How do you have to have your sauce a little thicker for pizza? Do you worry about that?
I don't worry about that.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Because I always run into
It is a little thicker because honestly, I add a little bit of sometimes I add a little liquid, just while it's to get it boiling, and just a little bit of just water to this sauce. I don't have tomato paste or anything like that, so I add less liquid maybe for a pizza sauce, but it's about the same.
It's about the same.
It's
okay.
about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've opened it. That's shot in there that's missing is the one we're going to see next
Oh, yeah,
in February. That's
pretty
the,
humorous.
I guess
humorous.
they were fighting with the
Yeah,
can.
yeah. I myself and my very intelligent roommate were struggling trying to work a can opener. It was pretty funny, him being an engineer and stuff. I thought that maybe you know how to use a can opener.
And you do construction, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
I mean, you
build
figure
things.
I could get a can
You could
opener.
probably
Yeah.
figure out, the mechanics of opening a can.
Well, it's good that it didn't really get ugly because I needed to get that can open. And if that can opener didn't work, I have power tools and stuff, so I had to use a Sawzall. I would have.
Well, we've been known in my family growing up. My dad had tools. We were an engineering family, and we were known to use the drill to open the coconuts.
Oh yeah, that's funny. For the longest time, I used to open wine bottles. I used a drywall screw and a set of pliers.
There you go.
Just put it in there, pulled it out.
Pulled
Worked
it
great. I
Own
own
version
I
of
own
a
a corkscrew now, though. I've
There
grown
you
up.
go. There you go.
So,
Let's see what we're.
where
Oh,
are
there's
we
the
at?
corkscrew,
Okay.
actually.
Oh yeah,
As
that
we
probably
speak.
came off the wine bottle, which
Came off the
we've already
wine
seen
bottle.
that part.
Right. Okay, so let's get this sauce in the can here. Well, it's into the pot.
Yeah, I don't think there is actually a shot of me putting it in the pot.
Putting it into the pot.
And
So
at this point, I'm trying to remember exactly where I left off.
we've got the sausage boiling.
Well,
in
the
the
sausage
wine.
is boiling, and
With the-
that
with the
sautés,
sautéed.
and then once that gets to reduce the volume of the liquid a little bit, then I add the tomato
Then you
sauce,
add the
and
tomato
that
sauce.
stews for a while. I add the mushrooms to that, and it's a lot of
So the
volume.
mushrooms, yeah, because you're not sautéing the
No, I'm not
mushrooms.
sautéing the mushrooms.
You just
they get
let them-
lost anyway,
Yeah.
because there's so much sauce. So once that cooks for, I don't know. It's a little less than an hour, but maybe like 45, 50 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you cook
It depends.
it that long.
It depends on the volume. I mean, it would cook quicker if it were less sauce. You know, but it's just so much. Just to get the whole volume of that liquid up to temperature takes probably 10 or 15 minutes just to do that.
Right.
Because you don't want to just turn it up all the way because you'll burn the stuff in the bottom. Mm-hmm. You know, so it has to happen really slowly and stir it every now and then. But once it gets going, then it's rolling and and it's agitating the sausages and stuff, and those stay in there. If I had steak tips, I would pull them out because they end up like
they'll overcook.
They overcook. They turn into these little rock hard nuggets basically, and they're no good to anybody. They've given their entire essence to the sauce at that point. But the sausages, they have the skins on them, so they keep a lot of what they brought with them.
Okay. But, so there's still something afterwards.
And I add basil, and I like using fresh basil as opposed to like dry basil. But I really hate buying it this time of year because you buy like a little plastic thing for $3.50, and this is actually pretty good. It's pretty fresh.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like you're overpaying for something really dry, and in the summer you can buy a bushel for $1. So.
Right. I actually put window boxes out on my porch.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And I did a couple of tomato plants and basil.
Oh, in window boxes.
In window boxes on my front porch.
That's interesting.
Cherry tomatoes work really well.
Cherry tomatoes, sure.
The tomatoes, I did regular tomatoes. Yeah, we had so much rain that they sort of they got over wet, and then they get over dry, and it was really hard in a window box to keep the tomatoes happy.
That sounds like a whole project unto itself. I had last year I had a garden, and it's the last time I'll do it where I was living then, which is I had a big raccoon problem, and and they really like green tomatoes apparently. So they take a bite, throw it away, and like, this is not ripe. I don't want.
Well, that was part of why besides the fact that I have a 100-year-old house with lead paint, and all of those reasons for not planting a garden around a Somerville house, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try window box. And
I think it's a brilliant idea because a cherry tomato plant wouldn't be very heavy either.
No, cherry. Well, my other plants didn't grow much bigger than the cherry tomato plant either. But no, and then it's like you'd walk up the steps, come home from work, you pick 4 cherry tomatoes, and you'd just eat them. It didn't. It was, and the squirrels didn't actually come up on my porch to capture them. So they were actually pretty animal proof.
That's great. I was so close enough to the main door or something. They didn't want to. Fear of getting shot or something.
Yeah, I mean, you have to actually go up the steps onto my porch. It's not a huge porch. It's just a Somerville porch. Mm-hmm. But we have our front door is south facing. So.
Oh, that's nice.
So I had
that's
to
great.
Yeah. So that was cool. That worked really well.
Okay, there goes the sauce.
Tomato sauce.
So I have poured in. So usually I get all of it out, use a little bit of liquid, like water, just wash out the rest of the can, throw that in there.
Okay.
Get every ounce of that tomato in there. I've actually made preserves before. I mean, not myself, and like with my family and stuff. It's a lot of work.
Doing tomatoes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of heat.
Yeah. There's a lot. We we didn't do tomatoes, but my parents had like a couple of apple trees and a couple of plum trees in Connecticut. Yeah, so we did some of that stuff when I was little. Yeah, and then life moved on.
Yes, no more tending the farm.
That's right. No. So what happens? Where are we? You're probably pouring the sauce in.
I'm probably pouring the sauce in right now and stirring it up and.
And wish we had a 2-camera shoot, huh?
Yeah, well, I did have 2 cameras, but I only had 1 cameraman, being myself. So there are a couple shots with a second camera, but not very many.
Not very many.
It was just too complicated to sort of not throw the camera in the sauce.
The sauce.
I thought that would be bad.
Ooh, that would be bad.
It'd be hard to explain that to Bill. How did I do that? Why threw it in?
Yeah. It was an effective video, but.
And I sacrificed a lot for this video. Bought a whole new camera. Was that really worth it? But I don't remember exactly where I left off in the video, but I think that the main. Oh, okay. Here we are. Okay, there goes the mushrooms in the sauce. I think that at this point, what ends up happening is I throw in, chop the basil next, and just mince that up. Pull the leaves off. Don't throw the stems in.
The stems don't really.
No, they don't really. They don't really. You end up getting them like caught in your teeth and stuff, and they don't work that well. They don't give you that much anyway. So after I finish, sort of get the sauce going, which is, like I said, was probably 80% of this tape. All the components of the pizza get assembled and chopped up, and sort of raiding the fridge and deciding what's going on top, exactly, on top of the sauce that it's been all this time.
So you have a little essence of sausage in your sauce.
Yeah.
And you've got some basic vegetables. Now, okay, so we're talking spaghetti sauce versus pizza sauce. Okay, so we've watched you make this pizza sauce. Now, you said it's not as complex as your spaghetti sauce. This is about as complex as my spaghetti sauce.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I mean...
So what else do you put in your spaghetti sauce?
More meats will go into it, steak, sometimes chicken sausage might go into it, like one or two, because it adds a strange flavor sometimes if you go too far with it. But chicken sausage can be really good.
Okay.
And more peppers, more onion, larger chunks of mushroom, rather than little smaller nickel-sized ones that have sort of like, big portobello mushrooms.
So your vegetable, so your ratio of vegetable to sauce would change.
Yeah, it becomes almost more like, I don't want to say like a chili, but like something, there's more little surprises in it, like, little chunks of tomato and sometimes, the meatballs, which are the way my mother used to make them is with raisins and pine nuts in them. So, yeah, I guess it's like we're not from Sicily, but it's like a Sicilian thing or something. You use raisins in like little wads of meat like that. It's really, really good. I guess kids like it a lot, so that's why she did it. But it's a nice little treat. The pine nuts and the raisins actually really work very well together. And something I learned from my sisters is adding ginger root to meatballs, which is
nice.
It's just a little bit. It gives you a little bit of like you almost don't taste it. Sort of like it hints something at you. But
I tend to do dried mustard.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that adds that same little zing.
Yeah,
it sort of brightens it up a little.
Just something that sort of teases you a little bit. You're not really sure what it is. It's like when you don't quite taste the cinnamon. It's there, but it's just in the back, almost like an aftertaste, but not quite. So, okay, now at this point, I've pretty much moved on to all the toppings for the pizza. Okay. Now, I'm going to be making, I think it's 2 pizzas altogether, because I sort of forgot that the pans I use are better. I'm better off splitting it up and using maybe 2/3 of that pound of dough, just to make it a little thinner. These end up being a little thicker than I sort of imagined or remembered. But, don't like really big chunks of broccoli. I like broccoli a lot, but I like the florets to be really small. So,
so you make them small.
Make them as small as I can.
But then you don't. I've ended up with you burn the top of it.
Exactly.
And then the bottom isn't cooked if it's too big a floret.
Yeah. So you want it small. You want it to be maybe the size of an olive or maybe slightly taller than that. But.
Well, I have a friend. My sister actually has done this too, but I have a friend who's done the pizza party. Where she made dough and she made a ball of dough for everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
And you get half a cookie sheet. And you get to mash your own dough out. Oh my God, her father-in-law had a fit. He was like, I have to touch that? It's probably the only time he's made his own meal in his entire life.
Oh, really? That's funny.
I think her mother-in-law actually did, But anyway, everybody gets to mash out their pizza in their own shape, and then she just has these bowls of, stuff on top, and put as much sauce on as you want, and you decorate your own pizza.
It's like a Seinfeld episode there. Make your own pizza?
Make your own pizza.
I can't talk about Seinfeld. I'm sorry. But no, that's I think working with dough is really fun because it's like it's not like you're gonna hurt your hands because your hands get dirty. That's all. It's not
he definitely didn't want to get his hands dirty.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Some people mind.
Okay, so what else are we putting on?
This is I like using a little bit of spinach, and what I did with this is I I sort of cold washed it. Or actually, I used a little bit of hot water and just rinsed it with hot water for like maybe 10 minutes.
Okay, so it's a little soft.
It's like just softened up a little bit because if you just threw it on the way it is, it's like it's too much.
It gets hard.
Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, it's just something I do. It's
So
sort of like half cooked spinach before it goes on the
Okay,
pizza.
so you've got some mushrooms to go on top. You've got some broccoli to go on top. You've got some spinach to go on top.
Yeah. And there's probably some form of meat is about to be chopped in here because I had
I
cooked.
would imagine that.
Yeah, I had a couple different things, which is I had some dry salami meat, some sopressata, which is it's basically salami. It's just a different kind of
Is
salami.
it the hard salami?
It's sort of medium hard. It's not
Okay.
super hard like what you're thinking of, but
Right.
it's not as soft as like like Genoa salami or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little harder than that. So that's what I'm doing right here. Is just chopping up those, and those again they're too big.
Right,
need
right.
to
You
be-
don't do
they
you
need
don't
to
do
be
the
smaller.
big pieces.
Yeah, if they're hard, these are hard enough that you don't want to be chewing on that. You want sort of a bite-sized version. A smaller version of it.
Okay.
Like there's some sausage I use later that I leave in bigger chunks, but it's softer to begin with. It's easier to chew. So I think about eating a lot apparently, but the mechanics as well as the preparation.
Well, but textures are a big deal.
They're very important. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
pizza and pizza, putting all the textures on pizza is a big deal too.
Yeah, and I don't. What I don't like about what I get in pizzas here is like this sort of I want a pepperoni pizza. It's like an even amount of pepperoni all over the whole thing. It's like just mix it up a little bit. Whenever we make pizza, it's like not everyone gets a pepperoni. Sorry. Somebody gets an olive, somebody gets an artichoke, somebody gets a piece of sausage, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a variety of things. So this is a yellow pepper I like a lot actually.
Okay.
And this is more stuff for on top of the pizza. And on one of the pizzas I use yellow, green, and red.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah, it's a nice color.
Yeah.
You don't see them as well. They're under the cheese, but they're all there.
Right.
But, I've yet managed to not cut my fingers off. Every time I do that, I watch myself do it. I make myself nervous. Like, oh, watch
Well,
it.
see, it already looks like they're cut off.
It does look like it, from this point of view.
That overhead shot's a little.
It's a little unnerving. But,
Okay, so you're using your thumb. Your thumb's pushing.
I sort of push with my thumb, but I have a little bit of a nail on my thumb, so sort of a,
Let the knife cut the nail.
Yeah.
Let the knife cut the nail works.
Yeah, well, I've done it a
I've
couple
done
times.
that.
And it's sort of
I've done
that margin of error, that eighth of an inch or whatever it is. So these peppers are pretty, but don't need the whole thing.
Nice sharp knife.
Yeah, it really holds an edge really well.
That's good.
I got one of those sharpeners for a friend of mine. It's one of those ones you pull it through two stone wheels.
The electric.
It's not electric, but it's got two different shapes, like two different V's basically.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
put it through, the number one, and then you do the second edge, and that gives it sort of the honed edge that
Yeah.
holds shape for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I haven't sharpened it for a couple months.
That's great.
Still, and this is the other sausage that I cooked.
Okay, so you just fried this in a pan.
I just fried that in a pan with. Actually, I usually use a little bit of water just to keep it from like burning the skin.
Yep.
And this is a pretty good sausage, fairly inexpensive from Market Basket. It's just a pork sausage, but it has like garlic and provolone in it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's gonna go on top of the pizza.
So-
It's a little salty, but it's good.
And provolone. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's good. It's a nice little salty treat.
See, I like to take the Italian sausage and take it out of the casing, and then crumble that on. I like that with the Italian sausage.
That's a good way to do it. I usually for whatever reason I always leave them in their skin when I cook them. Sometimes I might take them out afterwards or peel the skin off or whatever.
Right.
But,
Right.
Because I like to hold the fat in while I'm cooking it, even if I drain it afterwards.
Yep.
Some things I just do from superstition. I have no real good reason for it. That's because that's the way I've always done it.
That's the way you've always done it. Oh, this looks like pizza dough.
Oh, it's pizza dough time, yeah. So,
So you're putting it in the pan.
I put it in a cast iron pan.
Cast iron pan.
I like them because they have handles. They really they conduct heat really well.
Right.
And,
so you get your crusty base.
Yeah, and you can.
Like
and if they get
you're
thick,
using it like a pizza stone.
Exactly.
Okay.
If they get thick, it's okay because you have 3 inches or so on the edge of that pan.
Right. So the sides will come up.
Exactly.
So you're doing. Do you end up with a deep dish or sometimes
Well,
accidentally?
in this case, I did because I used too much dough. Like really, for these 2 pounds of dough I bought, I should have made 3, like 2/3 in each one.
Okay.
And that would have been just about where I used to. I remember I used to have like a 10-inch one and a small one, and I'd split them up that way. So make a little one and a big one, or a medium one or whatever, and have that one for breakfast or something. But that
pizza
worked
for breakfast
out.
is good.
Well, yeah, it's really good. I like it a lot. But it works out pretty well in terms of the proportions. But this is just a little thicker than I assume is perfect. But I think.
Oh, so you really do roll it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I pat it out.
I do that sometimes. I don't know. It's I just got this roller and I really wanted to try it out. Some sort of weird non-stick. But what I hadn't figured out is that the cutting board, which I also just got,
is also non-stick.
Is also non-stick because you can see it sliding all over the table. So I think I eventually find some way to deal with this.
So you didn't learn throwing, huh?
No, that's not with this kind of dough. You don't really do that. But
oh, it's dough dependent.
No, well I think you have to get it really thin to do that. It has to be like.
But it has to be a really tensile dough. I mean, I've used this dough and.
I don't think you can do it with this dough.
I don't think you can do it with this. It's a pretty soft dough, actually.
Yeah. But I think I eventually discovered to turn it on the short end and it works much better. But it took me a while to figure this out.
But the fighting with the pizza dough, this is always a big, it just doesn't want to get stretch out there.
Yeah, no, I want to go back to my small, useless size. But also keeping it round. It's pretty easy to roll it out in sort of a longer shape.
Well, that's the joy of actually using half a cookie sheet. It's it comes out whatever shape it comes out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a bad way to do it, actually. I should try that.
Although it doesn't give you the crusty. It doesn't give you a nice crusty.
Oh, on the bottom, that's sort of the brown.
That the cast iron skillet would.
Mm.
So we got to figure something out. Don't have a pizza stone.
Oh,
my sister has a pizza stone. And we made crackers all the time.
Crackers? I never made crackers.
Oh, they're great fun. You talk about a thin.
So you roll it out in some way, like.
You were actually rolling what? It's a King Arthur cracker. It's from a King Arthur baking book. And so you make this very dense dough, and then you make it pretty thin, but then you sprinkle seeds on it.
Uh-huh.
And the seeds determine the thickness. Like you roll it until the seeds are holding the dough.
Okay, all right, that makes some sense, like an aggregate almost, like
exactly.
Interesting. That's
and then but it was so thin that then you put it on the pizza. You had to cook it on a pizza stone in order to.
No, because if you put it on a pan, it's going to stick to the pan and get destroyed or something.
Yeah. So you put it on. You use the thing, and then you had this nice, and you preheated the stone, so you were you rolled it on wax paper, and then you flipped it onto the stone, and then you had to flip it off the stone. It was fun.
That's neat.
Oh, look at that nice round shape you have now.
Yeah, I like round. I think round is good for pizza.
Round is good.
So yeah, I just made sure it was the right size, or put the pan over it and make sure it's going to actually be big enough to fit in the pan.
Yep.
And then
and then you made your little sides.
Little sides.
Doing a nice deep dish dough here.
And just kind of mess with it for a little while. Then there's this little trick I do that I learned, where actually I learned to make the pizza dough to begin with, is they put in vent holes. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what they're for. That's the way it was kind of cursorily explained to me. And
Right.
they had sort of a roller that did this, but I use just a chopstick and just poke little holes in the dough.
Okay.
Okay, and supposedly it reduces the amount of sort of gooey dough you get, like above the crusty part, where, like, if you don't cook it at the right temperature,
Right.
it's like
because all the vegetables you're putting on are
keep it soft and wet.
Gonna keep it wet. So that vents for that. Okay.
That's what that's
okay.
that
And then
should
you
work for.
Okay. Does
Just a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of olive oil on there.
and spread that a little bit?
Yeah, spread that a little bit. I think.
Okay.
It's not quite enough. Let me put some more on.
Okay. This is the part I'm not great at. My pizza. I do all the other parts, but
So you see how much sauce I have, and that's how much I'm going to use. Maybe a little more than that, I think. Yeah, all right. This one I use a little more. Okay, that's enough. Now, why I made that much sauce, I don't know. Anyway, so I've got some if you like pizza sauce.
okay. So you're okay. See, I put too much pizza sauce on. That's part
Yeah, you don't need a lot.
You're flavoring it rather than
Yeah. So there's the salami goes on. Just a few here and there, because I'm going to put so much stuff on.
Right.
You want to sort of be able to taste the individual components of it.
Right. You're not putting an inch thick of stuff on it.
No. Well, I mean, it might be 3/4 of an inch, but it's, I want room for all of it. So there's a little spinach, a little bit of salami.
Okay. There's space.
There's space.
Any one ingredient has space.
Exactly. Okay. There's room to breathe for everybody to get along here, and so it's not a vegetarian pizza. Although I like vegetarian pizzas. Well, the sauce isn't vegetarian, so too late for that. But I got a bunch of stuff on the table. I'm just trying to identify it all. Okay, artichoke hearts, I think, in here.
Ooh, some artichoke hearts.
Yeah, I love artichoke hearts. Mm-hmm. Can't go crazy with those because they're a little overwhelming.
Yeah. Unless you make it like, I like the black olives and artichoke with a little onion, mushroom. I like that.
Well, I mean, I could sit down and probably eat a can of artichoke hearts, but
right,
but not everyone is like me.
That's doable too. Okay, so a couple of artichokes.
I think I didn't have any black olives, so and those canned olives are terrible anyway.
You get used to them though.
Oh, do you? Okay.
You do. I have nephews who lived in Israel for a number of years, and they were like, came back to the States, and they were like, canned black olives. And then after living in the States for a couple of years, it was like, they're so easy.
They are really easy.
They're just like, they're there. And no, they're not.
They're not.
It's like they're not real olives.
They're not real olives. Yeah, there's something
But they're like American olives.
Yeah. Each one is exactly the same as the last one. Well, not that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Except when the pit got pushed out the wrong direction.
That must be pretty funny looking, yeah. But I use the Spanish olives, the little pimentos in them.
With the pimentos in them.
So I got my mushrooms, a little bit of broccoli, I think. Did I put
Okay, and
broccoli
those
on
are the
that?
sausages.
Those are the sausages,
Yeah.
and
So you got a lot of food.
there's quite a bit of stuff on there, yeah. And it's it's not a big pizza, so this is just straight up mozzarella cheese.
Okay, so you don't get the
Shredded.
3 cheese mix.
No, I don't tend to go for that. No, not on a pizza anyway.
So you like the straight up mozzarella
Yeah.
and then get all the flavors.
Although on the other
underneath it.
pizza, I did use something a little unusual, so we'll see that in a minute. But
Okay.
for this one, it was pretty much, this was more the straighter
That's
of
your
the
basic
two.
pizza.
Yeah. The other one's got a little
And
more.
now you're gonna stick this in the oven.
Yeah, and
For how long?
I think I did about 15 minutes covered, and then another 5 minutes uncovered.
Covered.
Yeah, I cover them.
That'll steam the vegetables.
Yeah, because a lot of pizzas are made like when you get a pizza at a pizza place, their ovens are like 500 degrees or so.
Right.
Or more sometimes, and their doughs are really thin, and the heights of the ovens are really low, like they're really made for making pizza.
Right.
But your regular oven isn't.
Yeah.
So you end up having to cook it at about 400 degrees.
Yeah.
I think I did this one at 425.
Okay.
And
So you put foil right over
put
it.
foil right over it, you know, and that way, you know, all those vegetables get a little bit of time to just kind of steam, especially like things like the broccoli
Right, and they
and the
soften up
spinach, and they
better.
soften up a little bit.
Then you don't burn the tops of
And
them.
then you don't burn the tops on them. And then if you want to brown it, you take the foil off and you brown it,
Okay.
which is what I end up doing, because the pizza ends up, when it first melts, like everything's really white and looks really kind of not very
You
appetizing.
gotta brown that cheese.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
the other pizza, I did something a little funky with is I used a little bit of Gouda,
Oh.
and not a lot of it, like not half and half, like less than that.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
like 20% Gouda or something like that.
Okay, and shredded. And then
Just chopped up and little diced. I didn't have
okay, so you're putting it on top like you're putting any of the other toppings.
Well, it ends up mixing. I mix it. Actually, I think it went after the toppings, but with the other cheese. You know, so I put the Gouda on and then the mozzarella on, and it sort of ends up being a slightly different color when it's like it's a little yellower than the mozzarella is. The mozzarella is really white when it melts, but the Gouda is just a little bit more yellow. So you can sort of pick it out when it first comes out of the oven. You can see the Gouda, but
Yeah.
and it melts about the same way that mozzarella does. Mm-hmm. Roughly, it's like the same kind of soft
the
cheese.
same temperature, sort of.
Yeah, kind
somehow.
of. Like it's sort of they're the same kind of gooey. You know how some cheeses don't melt exactly the same way.
Oh,
or
I
some-
know, and you can't. And when you mix
how do
them,
how do you
it
do
gets
it? Right.
problematic.
So those two, for whatever reason, are about the same.
Okay.
You know, so like Parmesan and Romano, they're about the same. That kind of like they melt
Yeah.
about the same way.
Yeah.
So that's why I use that one, and also I just like Gouda, and I like kind of smoky flavors and things.
Right.
But I think here I'm getting ready for
For the next one.
the next one.
Okay.
Unless I change my mind about something. No, I'm going to chop something else up. What am I doing here?
What did you put? Well, this is you said this pizza you put on the three different colors of pepper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
Those go on this one. So maybe it's possible I'm about to chop some peppers. Well, it'll be interesting to see.
You let's see. We saw you chop some peppers for pizza. We'll see. Maybe you're just getting your board set up for rolling out another dough.
No, well I don't do it.
Oh,
on
that's
this
the-
dough.
that's-
Yeah,
this is your
the
chopping
board.
board.
Yeah, no, I'm
That's
about to
right.
chop something. That's for damn sure.
Okay.
And there. Oh yeah, it's the Gouda. Okay.
Gouda.
But
Okay, so a little bit of Gouda.
yeah.
Gouda, as they say.
Is that how they say it?
They do.
Gouda?
Gouda.
Where is it from?
It's Belgian.
It's Belgian.
Yeah.
Huh.
Dutch, Belgian.
I
And they
did
say
not know
Gouda. Yeah. You have to be over there when they tell you that, but
Gouda.
it's sort of like knowing how to say gyros and gyros.
Gyros.
You know, the whole Greek like gyr
yeah,
is a
sure.
gyro, right?
Yeah, I had a friend try and tell me the right way to pronounce Hanukkah. He was like, "You're not quite there. You're almost there. You're just not Jewish." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't."
I can't do that. I had a friend in high school that we you know how you stand in front of the homeroom class before you got to go inside.
Sure.
Okay, so we were in the same homeroom, and he's Greek, and like they had him stand up and write the Greek alphabet in physics class. You know, I mean that's the level of Greek he was, and he was funny because I'd stand there and I'd say, "Okay, I'm gonna say your name right," and I used to like repeat his Anastasios Giannitsos.
That's good. That sounds very Greek.
And once he goes, "You got it right," and I said, "What did I say?"
Well, you know, you in different languages you're trained to hear different things. Like in Italian, there's a big difference when you use one L or two L's, whereas it's really hard to hear the difference.
Yeah, yeah.
But they'll be completely two different words. You know.
Right.
So.
And
You know.
and in Greek there's no accent, so to say Anastasios Giannitsos with no emphasis on any of those 10,000 syllables.
10,000 syllables. I don't know which one I pronounced, but I hit something on the way there.
I did. One day he goes, "Yeah, that's right." I'm like, "Okay, I'll say it again." No, that wasn't right.
Sort of like on the way down the stairs, you hit the right step, you know?
That's right. But I'll never forget the guy's name.
No, it rolls right off your tongue. That's pretty amazing, actually.
I think we spent a whole year. Every morning I'd be like, "Okay, I'm going to say it right today." I'm not sure it was that long, but it was enough to... He was funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So where are we? Oh.
Oh, all right.
Pan.
So now we're ready for the, it's greasing up the next pan. And another thing I do is, I think I showed it in this one, is I throw just a little bit of ground black pepper on the bottom.
Oh,
And it kind of sticks in the bottom of the
So you're doing what, like I do a little cornmeal, but you just do the black pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think on a different pan, maybe because my sister been having problems with it. She always used cornmeal in her pizza pans, but this isn't a pizza pan.
Right.
For whatever reason, I've never, with a little bit of olive oil like this, I've never had a problem with them sticking.
Well, it's because the seasoning is already.
Yeah. Right.
They're well seasoned pans.
So okay, at this point, I figured out that if I change the orientation of the cutting board, it works much better. See, that's better. But
that's interesting.
yeah, I don't know why it works better that way. Something about the way I'm applying the force or something. It's funny. I had a whole plan to solve this, and I was just too lazy to go downstairs to my car, which is this rubber mat that would have been perfect for this. Just put it underneath the cutting board. You know, it's like something you put under a rug.
Oh, yeah.
They work great they almost work well for like clamps for like sanding furniture. I've used them for that.
Yeah.
They work really well.
Right.
So, you know, but this was a fun experience. I really like making pizza like this. It's like you end up the whole activity. I probably burned 150 calories running around the kitchen the way I was doing. You know, like opening this and looking for that and like sort of pacing back and forth, deciding what I'm gonna do next. You know.
Oh, you're good at keeping it round.
It's
You just keep turning it quarter turns, huh?
yeah, and you gotta kind of feel where it's getting lumpy.
And you're sort of staying on one edge, and you're kind of getting one edge to go.
Right. If you go in the middle, you end up with a big a thin part in the middle of two lumps.
Yeah.
And you end up with an oval or a rectangular shape.
Right.
So you have to kind of squeeze out one half of it and kind of keep spreading it out and pushing it out in that direction.
Okay. Okay, that's a good hint because I don't know how to keep my pizza dough round.
That's something I figured out after a while. It was like those I was saying in that restaurant that I had to make for each batch. I'd make 36 of these.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
So and they were round. So
they're supposed to be
round. They were
round
pizza. So
you had to learn how to keep a round pizza.
Yeah. So that works.
I'd pay for that as a round pizza.
Yeah, it's pretty round. It's a sort of a oblate, but it's okay. So I guess I could throw that in the air. It's pretty thin, but I might drop it, and then I'd be really pissed.
See, it just looks like that's a really soft pizza dough. I do have a pizza dough recipe that's...
Do you really?
Yeah, I do, that I like.
How does it vary from bread? Just regular bread?
I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't know. So those vent holes, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I know when you buy like a frozen pizza dough, they're all like compressed on the bottom, like they ran a little lawn aerator over them.
Oh, yeah, like the Bowley pizzas, you mean? Or
Yeah.
You mean frozen pizzas or those pizza crusts that you
crusts.
buy? Okay, the pre-prepared crust. That's kind of like what we were making at that restaurant, actually. Sort of a very similar idea.
Yeah.
Where it was like we'd make them, they last a few days, you put them in the fridge, and,
right.
It's a great way to make pizza because, it makes the whole production last
Simpler.
about 10 minutes.
Right.
Just throw some stuff on, throw it in the oven.
Okay, that one little bit of sauce.
That's all. And,
see, I always make my pizza look red. Like I cover so that it's a layer of sauce.
Well, the sauce is just something that kind of complements everything else. Because if you think about it, whenever you, I think that Americans do this all the time. It's like when you make spaghetti sauce or macaroni or whatever, red sauce, people pile sauce on it and they don't eat the sauce. Like it ends up at the bottom of their plate.
Yeah.
So it's like it really just should be enough to coat the pasta, and then you taste it. You might want a little extra for dipping or something, that's all you really need.
Yeah. Well, see, I tend to put my spaghetti sauce. I tend to put all my vegetables into it.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
I make I like you're talking about a stew. I tend to do a stew sauce so that you have a little bit of pasta on the bottom and then you have this bowl of everything else on top of it. And none of it falls down to the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's so many
There's
vegetables.
so much stuff in it. Okay, so we've got
Got my 3 colors
three
there.
colors of pepper, and then we've got
picking out the
mushrooms,
small
and we've got
florets.
the little florets, broccoli.
And like I was saying before, you don't want them too big.
I like how you just spread them out. You know,
Yeah,
and
like
then
they don't need to be. If I put an even amount across the whole thing, it would be so jammed, like you couldn't eat it.
right.
So.
I know this is the light hand. I like this.
I think I decided to go not vegetarian exactly, but more heavy in the vegetables with this one. Mm-hmm. Oh, and there goes the Gouda.
That's Gouda.
So that just kind of gets spread out across it because it's it's a strong flavor, I think. The Gouda.
Yeah.
As opposed to the mozzarella,
Right.
which is really mild.
Yeah.
So that gets spread across.
You put a chunk of
A decent amount. I mean, there's definitely more mozzarella. There's
Right,
a bigger
right.
percentage, but
yeah.
it's a good amount there, and of course a few olives. Sort of intentionally put not enough for everybody, just a few.
Just a few, okay.
Somebody gets one.
And you don't
everybody.
chop any.
No.
You don't chop your.
Well,
own?
sometimes I do. I didn't in this particular circumstance because I was going with a deep dish. So sometimes I'll dice them a little bit, or at least have them so they sit
So you're
flatter.
a little lighter on the meat
Yeah, on this
than
one.
you were on the other one because you have the cheese. You didn't want to.
I didn't want to kind of overwhelm it. I think I ended up putting meat on top of this one.
Yeah, you just put about 6 or 7 chunks of sausage on of salami on.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't
Just
put a lot.
Just a few.
Yeah.
And I try not to get the cheese on the very edge between the pan and the crust because then it sticks to the pan and it also, it forms like a little crust you have to cut out to get the pizza off. Like burns to the top of it. So I try and just keep it off the edge of the crust as much as I can.
Okay. It's not so thick. You can see stuff through it. Okay.
No. And then I decided, okay, what the hell? Let's put some meat on it. Well, this sausage is actually, I just think it's so good that I thought, you know what? If you don't want the sausage, you can just take it off.
Okay.
That's what I figured.
There you go. And because it's on top, you made it look all pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although it could have been more symmetrical now that I'm looking at it, but.
Oh, nothing else was symmetrical.
No, it's true.
It's okay.
Symmetry is obviously not my thing, but. Couple mushrooms.
Couple mushrooms.
And
we're gonna have pizza.
I think soon. This is pretty much we just cut to the chase. It goes in the oven, and then.
Again, the oven is 15 minutes with a lid on?
15 minutes with a lid on, and then another 5 minutes to brown it.
Oh, I think the lid on thing is interesting.
And there it goes in the oven.
And there it goes in the oven.
There's a one.
Yay. Well, I hope you're all hungry now.
Yeah, I'm pretty hungry. But that looks like that's pretty much all we have time for.
Yeah.
And I hope we get to see the pizza.
We're going to eat the pizza now.
We're going to eat that pizza. And
good night.
There it goes.
And thanks for watching Dead Air Live.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been fun. Oh, there we go. There's a nice brown crust.